for Monday, April the 8th, 2019. Corporate Officer, do we have any late items?
There are none.
Okay, thank you. So may I ask someone from council to bring forward the motion to approve the agenda, please? Councillor Van Elfen and Councillor Holmes, all those in favor? All right. Item 4.1, adoption of minutes. Is there anything that needs to be identified in the minutes that are shown there? Councillor Holmes.
Just a question, don't we adopt the agenda and approve the minutes rather than approve the agenda and not adopt the minutes? Or is that just semantics?
We usually
Adopt.
Adopt both.
And that's what the recommendation shows. It's just that nobody,
Yeah,
okay.
thanks.
So, back to the minutes then. Is there anything that anybody has, needs to bring out there? Okay, so could I have somebody bring forward the motion to adopt the minutes, please? And could you please read out the minutes that we're adopting, please?
Move that the following meeting minutes be adopted from March 18th, Committee of the Whole, March 25th, Regular Council, and March 27th, Special Council meeting.
Thank you, and that is seconded by Councillor Van Elfen. All those in favor? Approved. Okay. We don't have any delegations tonight, so moving on to item 6. This is the opportunity for public to comment. 2 minutes per speaker. Please, if you come to the podium, give us your name and your address before you begin your comments, please. The items that are shown on the screen are the items that are open for public comment. All right, seeing no one at the podium, I'll assume that it's safe to go on to my mayor's report. And first, I would like to apologize that you do not have copies of this over on the side table. It's because the mayor was late in getting the report to the person that photocopies it on your behalf. So, but it will be posted on the website. The last 2 weeks have been very busy ones for me. On Tuesday, March the 26th, I attended the Chamber of Commerce AGM at the Waterfront Resort. After swearing in the new board of directors, I took in the Philosopher's Cafe at the Arts and Culture Center. The guest speaker, Dr. Lael Parrott with UBC, spoke about the importance of ecological connectivity and wildlife corridors and the work she is doing on the Okanagan Futures Project. Thanks go to Barbara Thorburn for organizing this interesting presentation. The next morning, I joined City of Penticton councillors on a tour of the new David E. Campy Tower at Penticton Regional Hospital, and then enjoyed the Legacy Tea at the Legion commemorating 92 years of service by the Ladies Auxiliary Branch for Branch 22. 92 years is a long time. I joined MP Richard Cannings and Penticton Mayor John Vasilaki bright and early on Thursday morning at Penticton Regional Airport. We were there to encourage passengers on Air Canada's 6 a.m. flight to Vancouver to fill out an online survey. As you probably all know, effective May the 1st, Air Canada is cancelling its early morning and late return flights. Although the survey is now closed, Mayor Vasilaki is continuing discussions with other airlines for their options. Later that morning, the CAO and I drove to Peachland to attend the Federal Minister Carolyn Bennett's announcement about the one-time doubling of the Community Works gas tax. I had the opportunity to speak about how the district has been using this type of funding in the past years, including most recently our Summerland skate park. Summerland will see an additional $533,000 transferred this year. You're shaking your head. Do I have the wrong figure?
553.
553. That's even better. Thank you. Thank you for that correction. Extra 20,000. On Friday, March the 29th, I spent much of the day at Vernon City Hall reviewing resolutions submitted by municipalities and regional districts within our local government association. These 25 resolutions will be discussed and voted on at the convention later this month. I understand that everybody is signed up now. Ones that are passed by the membership will go on to UBCM in September. Saturday evening, it was my pleasure to present the Mayor's Award of Excellence at the Chamber's Community and Business Excellence Award Gala to Summerland's Emergency Social Services Group. This group, led for the past 8 years by John Topham, has been especially busy these last 2 years supporting people who have been forced from their homes, not only in Summerland but in neighboring communities. Our sincere congratulations to all the nominees and winners in the various categories. Many spoke about what an outstanding community Summerland is, and it is their contributions and those of everyone in Summerland that continue to make this an even better place to live. One of the principles in our strategic plan is to strengthen our relationship with First Nations. Last Monday, I had my second meeting with the Penticton Indian Band. Our next meeting will be a council-to-council meet and greet. Last Tuesday and Thursday were spent in Coldstream and Vernon attending the OBWB meeting and the Southeast District RCMP meeting, respectively. Thank you, Councillor Traynor, for filling in for me at RDOS. Our annual budget open house was held last Wednesday from 4 to 7. Is that right, 4 to 7? Good. All departments participated with interactive exhibits and were available to answer questions. On behalf of Council, I would like to thank again the CAO and her staff for all the time and hard work you put into presenting the budget in such an interesting and engaging way. This past Friday, I spent the morning at the Community Climate Action Plan workshop with Councillors Holmes and Carlson and Tammy Rothery, our Sustainability and Alternative Energy Coordinator. Community stakeholders at the meeting included members of Council's Community Climate Action Advisory Committee, Interior Health, Fortis, and many others. We had productive discussions on the best ways to build on our successes in this area in order to achieve our reduced emissions targets. And finally, Saturday, I spent a few hours in Osoyoos attending First Things First Okanagan's event at the I knew I was going to have troubles with this. Burrowing Owl Estate Winery. The event, called 3 Ways to Save the Planet, focused on electric vehicles, solar, and energy conservation. The organizers were very happy with the attendance and those standing room only at the 4 formal presentations. I heard at this event and at the workshop the day before that Summerland is seen by our neighbors as a leader in taking action on climate change. Thank you. CAO.
Thank you. I just have a couple of notes for council tonight. One, just a note that the Local Government Managers Association, which is the association that most of us managers belong to, the association are planting trees this year in recognition of the impact that local government professionals make in communities across BC. They're providing $50 to each community for a tree, and they've sent us a plaque and asked that we plant it. So we've got our the crews are still working on the grounds around Municipal Hall here, so they'll be looking for the spot for a small tree for that program. And Council, through the Mayor, just got notified today that you've been we've been successful in the receipt of an infrastructure planning grant for the wastewater treatment plant facility design, and that's $10,000, so it's contributing to a larger project. And that's all for today.
Thank you. Okay, on to number 10. 10.1 is the parcel tax bylaw, Hunters Hill, number 2019-020. And I will pass this on to the Director of Finance.
This is just an adoption for the parcel tax.
Okay.
We did the first readings last week, and
All
all was authenticated today.
Okay, so that has been done. So could I have someone bring forward that motion? Thank you, Councillor Van Alphen, seconded by Councillor Holmes. All in favor? Great. And then on to 10.2, zoning bylaw amendment 11722 Prairie Valley Road, bylaw number 2019-016. And this is over to the Director of Planning. No.
Development Services.
Sorry, Director of Development Services. No, she's not. Okay. Over to Development Services, the Manager of Planning. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Having presented this application prior to the public hearing, unless council has clarifying questions about the application, the staff recommendation is that to pass the appropriate resolution, that zoning bylaw amendment for 11722 Prairie Valley Road, bylaw number 2019-016 be read a third time and adopted.
So this was the subject of public hearing number 3 tonight, correct? Okay. Councillor Carlson.
My question is more process. I'm just wondering why 10.2 is third in adoption and the next two are simply third. Does it have to do with approval from a provincial level?
It's usually the Minister of Transportation. I think Mr. Patey missed the question, though. It's only third reading, not adoption, and it's, no.
I believe it's for adoption, Madam Mayor, because this property is outside the 800-meter distance from a controlled access highway.
So we can do both third and adoption, but only for the first one we're speaking of. Just want to make sure I have, okay, thank you.
That's correct.
Okay, any other questions of staff? All right. So could I have somebody bring forward that motion, please? Councillor Holmes, please.
Yeah, I'll move that zoning bylaw amendment 11...
Please use your mic. Thank you.
11722 Prairie Valley Road, bylaw number 2019-016 be read a third time and adopted.
Seconded by Councillor Van Elfen. Okay, all those in favor? Approved. On to 10.3, zoning bylaw amendment for 919 Wharf Street, bylaw number 2019-014.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This next application was presented prior to the public hearing. Again, unless council has any clarifying questions of this application, the appropriate resolution would be to that zoning bylaw amendment for 919 Wharf Street, bylaw number 2019-014 be read a third time.
Thank you. Councillor Carlson and then Councillor Holmes.
I have a couple questions, if you don't mind. The first one is in relation to the comments we heard, and the question was the first question raised is, has something like this happened before? Are there instances where we have two homes on a single lot?
Madam Mayor, I can't answer that question without doing significant research and with respect to past rezoning applications.
Okay. So just follow that then. Based on what we see here in the image, it says proposed. I'm just wondering if something like this does go ahead, does it have to be, would the second house go down at the south property line as per what we see here? Or is that simply what would be proposed and they could put it anywhere as long as it fits within the parameters of the...
Madam Mayor, the reason, and we've presented on this prior to first and second reading, the reason why the southernmost portion of the lot is the most appropriate location for the house is to specifically allow for development opportunities for the remainder of this parcel with respect to the adjacent parcel immediately to the east, and to allow that property to have development opportunities. As well, there's undeveloped portions of land in and around this parcel which are made more developable or easier to develop if we move the proposed house to the southernmost portion of the lot.
So is there a rule that will mean that it has to go there, I guess is the question? Or if they don't build it next year, if they build it in 15 years, they still have permission to build it? They might build it somewhere else, or does it go with the rezoning that we're giving them?
We haven't solidified this by covenant or anything like that, but it's our understanding that the wish of the applicant is to place their house there because it's the most open portion of the lot where there aren't any trees.
Thank you.
Councillor Holmes?
Yeah, thank you. Just follow up on Councilor Carlson there. Could you explain, elaborate, I guess, at how it allows the other land there to become more developable? How would that happen? I'm having a hard time visualizing how that might potentially happen.
Madam Mayor, if you notice, and now I don't know the name of this road, but directly to the north of the subject property is a dedicated public road. It is conceivable that that road could continue directly to the south through these two properties, and so as to create a number of single-family lots fronting on a public road. Now, a requirement of subdivision is that all proposed lots must front on a public road. When the applicant previously applied for a subdivision application, it wasn't supportable for the reason that it didn't meet our subdivision policy 300-2, which requires that the approving officer take into consideration the developability of the remainder of the parcel, how it fits within the future of road networking within the area, and whether or not it results in appropriate land use. Now, in this case, because of the size of the lot being over 4,000 square meters, there are a number of opportunities for development for this parcel. Staff did put together a preliminary subdivision plan that did show the potential of a road being shared by lots, the proposed lot that we have before us, Lot 4, and the adjacent Lot 3. We did show a 16-meter potential public road coming down into the property and exiting the property with lane access through the undedicated portion of lot that you see to the left, connecting to Nixon Road. Now, that is just a concept that we brought up as part of our presentation prior to first and second reading, and we've discussed at length with the applicant. There are a number of other opportunities for this lot with respect to subdivision, or potentially in the future rezoning to a multifamily type zoning, where we see a number of units built on the undeveloped portions of the lot. And for those reasons, the subdivision application as previously presented wasn't supportable. And so, in order to meet the needs of the owner wishing to develop their parcel, and as well allow them to maintain the existing house that they have on the lot, it was recommended that they move forward with a rezoning application to allow for 2 single-family dwellings on this lot, to allow for that future development opportunity in this area.
Okay,
So
Councillor
just to
Holmes?
follow up then, so the future development opportunity would be a new road coming off Wharf Street on to the neighbor's, along the neighbor's, what's currently the neighbor's property.
Yes, Madam Mayor, that's correct.
And so it would depend on the neighbor basically agreeing for this to happen, wanting this to happen.
That's correct. And if you see what I now have the pointer, when you look at these properties, this lot as a standalone parcel doesn't really have any opportunities for subdivision in the future. It's a very narrow lot, and doesn't have any frontage on a public road. As well, there are pockets of undeveloped land to the east of that property as well, on Lot 3. So it is conceivable that this road could continue down and be shared as a half-road standard on each of these lots in order to create development potential for both lots, for both of these lots 3, as well as the remainder of Lot 4.
Councillor Traynor?
I just have a question for staff. For now, how will people access that house then? Will it be off of Wharf?
The access will be off Wharf by way of a shared driveway.
Okay.
Good, that's a question I had too. Councillor Patton?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. To staff, if I may. So we're going to have a shared driveway. Both these houses are on the same piece of property, so they're the same owner. So we will not require a reciprocal access agreement down the side. My question is, if the future road down from Wharf Street comes straight through to give access to the other 2 lots, what's happening with the unconstructed road coming off of Nixon?
Madam Mayor, this at the moment isn't, It's a dedicated portion of land, and it only has a width at the moment of approximately 6 meters at this narrowest portion, so it doesn't meet our standards for a full public road. Our local road standard is 16 meters right-of-way, so this doesn't meet that. However, it's conceivable that this could meet the requirement for lane access in the future. These lots to the north and south of the dedicated portion, the houses that currently exist on those lots are built quite close to their side lot line. At some point in the future, when those houses have reached their at their end of life, if you will, and we see future subdivision on either one of these lots, it's conceivable that at that time we could take dedication to widen that access at that point. At this point, it's just concept that could be a future access, but just it's concept at the moment.
Thank you. If I may? Are these homes and the future, if so be it, are they on private or are they on municipal sewer?
I believe all of these lots are serviced by municipal sewer.
By municipal sewer? So, since these houses are on the same lot, does that mean one service, one lot? So that 4-inch or that sanitary from the back lot would tie into the sanitary of the existing house?
That's correct, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much.
Councillor Barkwell.
Yeah, you've spoken a fair bit about placing the house in such a location as to preserve the developability, if that's a word, but there's no requirement to the applicant to put the house there. No covenant, no rules, as Councillor Carlson was asking about. Is that, do we really want to just leave it that open?
Madam Mayor, the applicant could come back and build their house on any portion of this lot. It's true. We've had significant amount of conversation with this owner, and they understand the implications of development on this lot and leaving this lot for future development and enabling that future development to happen. One of the reasons why panhandles in this case are difficult for a lot like this is because every time you take a lot off, you also take the value out that is needed to contribute to the construction of public roads. If it's $100,000 to build a public road in through this property and share it with the neighbor, if you take a lot off today and you sell that lot, you lose that proportion of profit from that lot that would have contributed to the construction of the road. When you allow that to happen, the remaining 3 or 4 lots that would be potentially possible now aren't possible because now there's not enough money in the remainder profit to pay for the construction of the public road. That's the primary reason why this application is to rezone it to allow the developer to have 2 single-family dwellings such that both lots are held in fee simple on one single property, and any future development of the property would require a more fulsome approach to developing the property, while still allowing the current owner to build the second home on the property to meet their needs to stay on the property for the short or long term.
Okay. Councillor Barkwell?
Yeah, I don't see how that really addresses the concern of ensuring that the house is built in that location. As a matter of fact, if he's got his 2 houses there, he doesn't have any incentive to participate in subdivision because he has his second house, and in that case, building a second house would simply be, or going through the subdivision to get a second house would just be additional cost that he doesn't need to have. Although on the other hand, maybe he does have an incentive to put the house there, but certainly we don't have any assurance that it's going to go there. I'm not sure if I'm comfortable.
Councillor Barkwell?
Yeah.
If you were the homeowner here and you heard that subdivision was not possible, but the planning department had come up with an option that was acceptable for you to build your home in the area, in any area, and you as the homeowner had chosen where we see that the actual homeowner or property owner has decided to build their home, with the understanding that at some point, they may be able to develop the spot that is the area that's inside there, like in between the existing house and the proposed house. Wouldn't you, as the homeowner, be interested in that possibility? Getting more value from
I'm thinking if
the
a
property you own?
A road did go through, you could probably fit a third house on that lot. So the incentive is to put it where it is.
Thank you for proving my point. Anybody else? All right, so could I ask somebody to bring forward the motion, please? Councillor Traynor.
I will bring forward the motion that zoning bylaw amendment for 919 Wharf Street, bylaw number 2019-014, be read for a third time.
Seconded by Councillor Van Elfen. Councillor Carlson.
So one of the things I have written here is about the changes that are happening in Trout Creek, and this is probably I don't know how many times we've heard from citizens that live there, and especially ones that have lived there for a really long time. And I know that we've gone through a strategic planning session, and we've had lots of, we have some priorities set, but I think that somewhere along the line, we really do need to offer an opportunity for the citizens of Trout Creek to have some conversation about what it currently looks like, what the future potential is. Maybe it comes with some new discussion on what the floodplain regulation, maybe if there's changes to our bylaws and things, we should put that in the back of our minds, because as these, if the guys next door come forward and they want to do something similar, then we're obviously working towards a subdivision, right? It sort of proves the point, and it makes the planning of putting this lot where it is a really good one. But I think we also, as we continue to look at more subdivisions in Trout Creek and we look at what's happening down there, I think we need to have that conversation. So that would be my aside to being in favor of allowing this to happen, knowing that it's going to continue and we need to respect the people who are living in the neighborhood.
And if I might speak on behalf of our Development Services Department, my understanding is that we will indeed be having those conversations. So thank you, Councillor Carlson. Councillor Barkwell.
Just speaking to process here, so this is third reading. We're going to have to look at this bylaw again for adoption. Could it not have just waited to do third reading and adoption once we had Ministry of Transport approval, or do we need third reading before we go to the MTO?
They need third reading. They won't do it with the chance it'll be amended.
Okay, so I will call the question of the motion that's on the floor then. All those in favor? And no, I don't see anyone opposed, so that carries. And now on to zoning bylaw amendment 8323 Purvis Road, bylaw number 2019-015. And before I turn this over to the manager of planning, I just want council to be aware that there is a submission that we received earlier today, I guess, regarding this. And this is the one that Ms. Haverkamp spoke to when she was at the podium. Thank you, Mr. Patey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Having presented this prior to the first and second reading as well as the public hearing, unless council has any questions for clarification, the appropriate resolution to consider is that zoning bylaw amendment for 8323 Purvis Road, bylaw number 2019-015, be read a third time.
Thank you. Council, any questions of staff on this one? Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. To staff, if I may. We heard from the neighbor in regards to having to put in a rock pit overseen by a geotechnical engineer. My question is, we're starting to run out of room on these lots. I realized that the geotechnical allowed a 3-meter distance away from a home instead of the 5, right, which is the standard. My question is, are we looking, is that the only means of storm for perimeter drainage that we're looking at, is rock pits, and for roof drainage is just the rock pit? Do we have anything do we have a storm service there? I don't think we do. No. So everything would be going into the rock pit. So, again, my only concern is with the steep grades there, that we could have some infiltration that heads down that bank from the rock pit. That would be, we're starting now to, I'm sure that the original house has rock pits, so this would have rock pits for the amount of drainage, plus the neighboring property now has rock pits.
So do you have a question?
I guess my question, my question is, through we'll have geotechnical involvement in regards to these rock pits, and we'll be going by their assessment on how far away on the property line that these can be. And the other question I have is, have we, as the neighbor was talking about, is there any discussion at all to a shared driveway?
Madam Mayor, with respect to the first question, that's a technical requirement of the subdivision application that will have to be fully satisfied before subdivision final approval is granted to the satisfaction of our engineering department. With respect to the driveway, again, that's another technical requirement that will have to be teased out, I guess, as part of the subdivision process, as well as the relocation of the electrical pole is another technical requirement of subdivision, and all of these issues will come forward and have to be proved out as part of that application. They are all requirements of subdivision, including access to the lot, safety of the road, reconstruction to the center line, potential for a curb gutter sidewalk, full works and services. Those are all requirements of subdivision, and if any one of them can't be achieved as part of the subdivision process, it's possible that the subdivision also can't be approved.
Excellent, thank you.
So we have those assurances there.
Absolutely, thank you.
Any other questions of staff? Okay, could I have someone bring this forward, please? Okay, thank you. Councillor Traynor.
I will bring forward that zoning bylaw amendment for 8323 Curtis Road, bylaw number 2019-015, be read for a third time.
Councillor Patton, you were seconding that? Thank you. Any further discussion on this? All right, so we will proceed with the question without Councillor Van Elfen. All those in favor? And opposed, none. Okay, on to 10.5, Financial Plan 2019 to 2023, bylaw number 2019-012. This is a motion that the financial plan be read a first and second time by title only, and then read a third time. So we'll look at the first resolution. Resolution number 1 first, and I will pass this over to the Director of Finance.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As you had mentioned in your Mayor's report earlier this evening, that on April 3rd, the district did have our financial open house from 4 to 7 p.m. The open house did include various departmental presentations as well as displays. The purpose of the open house was to provide residents with an opportunity to review, discuss, and ask questions regarding the proposed financial plan, or 5-year financial plan, with council as well as staff. Public feedback was positive, with many of the residents expressing their appreciation on how their questions were answered. 3 written responses were received. 1 expressed appreciation for all the district does in keeping Summerland the best bedroom community in the Okanagan. Second comment suggested that we change the name of the open house. And
2, no suggestion in terms of the... I apologize for interrupting. I was just curious.
There was a name, I can't remember it off the top of my head.
No problem.
And then the third comment we received was to have council consider a biannual unlimited yard waste pickup event in the future.
Okay.
So the proposed 5-year financial plan that you have in front of you, that's being considered, does have 2 changes since the first time that it was introduced to council on March 25th.
Okay.
The first change incorporates, as the mayor also mentioned, the additional $553,000 of federal gas tax funding that the district will be receiving as a one-time payment in 2019. The second change adjusts some of the capital funding sources utilized on some of the projects, basically using gas tax funds prior to using district reserve funds. And the reason behind that is, as more grant applications are coming forward, they're being very restrictive in the district's contribution. They're not allowing stacking and those types of things. So it made financial sense to use those funds first prior to using any district funds on any capital projects. So the proposed financial plan is now ready to be considered for first 3 readings.
Thank you. Council, any questions of our finance staff? All right, so could I have somebody bring forward the first resolution, please? Councillor Carlson.
I'll move that financial plan 2019 to 2023, bylaw 2019-012, be introduced and read a first and second time by title only.
Seconded by Councillor Van Elfen. Any further discussion on this? Councillor Holmes.
No, I just wanted to comment on one of the comments that was received at the open house. I kind of agree with the person that we maybe want to call it something else, because I think when people hear budget, they think, oh, numbers, I'm not that interested. When in actual fact, that open house was really, what I thought was really an open house, everything that the district does. And I was actually really impressed with all the departments presenting themselves. And so, I think we would get more people out if we were able to be able to somehow communicate to the public that it's more than just presenting the budget. It's presenting the district and everything that we do. But it was, and I don't know what you would call it, but maybe that person who had the suggestion would know. So.
Where your tax dollars go.
Yeah, something like that.
Free beer.
Free beer.
Free.
So any further discussion or comment? Councillor Barkle.
Yeah, I was seriously thinking of voting against this budget because it has about $85,000 worth of expenditures that I argued against during the budget process, and I still don't think are necessary. If you remember, we had $15,000 for a study on the dog park that we discussed at length, $25,000 for a tracked quad for the public works people to get up to the dams, which I felt like, they've been going a long time without, and $45,000 for a surveillance system at the sanitary landfill, and that's like 1% of our taxes. But so I was going to vote against it, but I guess I'll just note my displeasure and say I've had my chance to make my arguments during the budget discussions, and I didn't win that discussion, so I'll go along with the rest of council.
Councillor, you have every right to vote against the budget, as the rest of us do to vote in the best way that we know how. So there you go. You're a brave man. Councillor Holmes.
I would just say, maybe in response, that I think there's probably something all of us could find in this budget that we're not entirely happy with. I know I can, if I really wanted to nitpick. But I think overall, I think it's a pretty good budget, and I think when people look at it and they say, okay, a 1% tax raise for operations, 2.5% tax raise to go into reserves, I think people would look at that and say, yeah, that's fair. And I look at that and I think, yeah, that's fair. So that's why I support it.
Councillor Barkwell.
Yeah, in response to that, it's a fair comment. I would say it's not just things that I don't necessarily want to spend money on. It's also things that I argued for and didn't succeed in getting in the budget, like a yard waste pickup for, Penticton has 2, we have none. From people I speak to, that's something they want, but the council as a whole seems to think we'll try and get by without it, so it's a whole, so like Councillor Holmes says, I guess there's always something to like and dislike, and I'll go along with what we came up with in the end.
Okay, so that's my cue to call the question then. All those in favor? And I don't see any opposed. So if I could have someone bring forward the second part of that resolution, or that resolution, and then we'll talk about the dates that we need on the third one. Councillor Carlson.
And that financial plan 2019 to 2023, bylaw number 2019-012, be read a third time.
Seconded by Councillor Van Elfen. All those in favor? None opposed, so that's the second one done. And now the special council meeting for adoption of the plan. That needs to happen, and I'm asking this question of you, Director of Finance. Mr. David Svetlichny. It needs to happen by when, in order to meet legislative requirements?
To meet legislative requirements, it needs to be adopted prior to the tax rates bylaw being adopted. Council will be looking at the tax rates on Monday, April, this coming Monday, I can't remember. Was that the 12th or
15th?
or whatever the date is.
15th?
Yeah.
So
Okay,
technically, there is no rush, except that it's good to have it finalized, so that when you work on the there's quite a lot of calculations with the tax rate bylaws, and it's nice to know that it's adopted and finalized when you start working on the tax rate bylaws.
To avoid extra
Yeah.
work, yeah. So I guess we are limited to either, how much in advance can we do it before we do the bylaw?
Tomorrow's the only
Like,
day you can't do it, so any...
Tomorrow's the only day we can't do
Right.
it.
So you need a full day in between, and it's just it's one of those quick 5 minutes.
If council wanted to, you could potentially do it on Monday prior to
Yes.
sitting down and discussing tax rates.
That was my question. Does that work for council? I think that begins at 5 o'clock on Monday. Is that right? So if we started at 4:45 on April the 15th,
What's it for?
pardon me, I can't hear you.
What's at 5 o'clock? Don't we have a regular council or regular committee of the whole meeting?
It's a committee of the whole. It starts at 1:30.
Oh, sorry, I thought I think my thing says 5 o'clock. So 1:30. So if we were to meet at 1:15 so that we could do this, does that work for everyone?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So could I have someone bring forward the third resolution then and include the date and time, please? Councillor Carlson.
And that a special council meeting be scheduled for 1:15 PM on April 15th, 2019, to consider adoption of Financial Plan 2019 to 2023, bylaw 2019-012.
Excellent. Seconded by Councillor Van Elfen. All those in favor? Perfect. Okay, now on to 11.1, MMP LLP Auditors, District of Summerland 2018 Audit Finding, and I will turn this over to the Director of Finance.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The district's auditors, MMP, have now concluded the annual audit of the district's financial records for the year ended December 31st, 2018. I'd like to introduce Darcy Haw, a regional assurance partner with MMP, who will provide council with a summary of their audit findings report, and more importantly, our unqualified audit opinion.
Thanks,
Thank you.
David. Thank you.
Thank you, and welcome.
So we're going to cover off the mandatory communication pieces that are required at the conclusion of every audit. So our audit findings report was distributed previously. So I'll just hit some of the highlights for everyone. So starting with the M&P audit process on page 1. So of course, we conducted our audit in accordance with Canadian generally accepted audit standards. The audit includes review of all significant accounting and management reporting systems that helps to build the financial results of the district. Our audit process focused on understanding controls utilized in management's reporting systems to the extent necessary to identify any risks and specific financial reporting risks that we need to address when conducting our audit. So during our audit, we examined on a test basis evidence supporting the amounts and disclosures in the financial statements, assessed the accounting principles used and significant estimates made by management in preparing the financial statements, reviewed and assessed those accounting systems deemed necessary to support our independent audit report, evaluate the overall financial statement presentation. We have obtained written representations from management, which covers off all significant queries we have made of them, which confirms that they've been true and all their answers to us and have been complete in all their representations. So moving on to significant audit findings. Final materiality. So we presented on this in the fall, or in January, sorry. It was at $1,080,000, and when we recalculated, we deemed it unnecessary to change that amount for the final audit. Difficulties encountered, we had no issues during the audit. The audit went quite smoothly this year. No limitations were placed on the scope of our audit procedures. Significant deficiencies in internal control. So when conducting an audit, we look at the controls that help to obviously build the financial results for the year. We did not find any significant controls to communicate to management or council that they should look at repairing or making recommendations for improvements. Fraud, we always assess the risks of fraud in all organizations, and nothing came to our attention that brought any concern around any fraudulent activities. Non-compliance with laws and transactions with related parties, again, nothing of concern during our audit that was brought forth in those regard. Going concern, so when we do an audit, we have to consider whether the entity has the ability to continue as a going concern for the next 12 months, and obviously that's not a concern here. Significant accounting policies, when we presented in January, we talked a bit about the new accounting policies that were adopted for 2018. They did not have any significant impact to the financial reporting this year. Significant management estimates. So there are some significant items that have a high degree of estimation, provision for legal contingencies, amortization periods for tangible capital assets, landfill closure and post-closure liabilities. So we spend a lot of time focusing on those areas to ensure that the estimates are reasonable in the circumstance. Significant differences. So we did not require any adjustment to the financial statements as presented by management this year. So there were no adjustments to the initial numbers that were provided by management. We did have a couple minor items that were possible differences, but they were extremely insignificant, totaling $5,000. So that's great. The independent auditor's report. So attached to this report is a draft of our audit report. So as David mentioned, of course, it's an unqualified, or what's called a clean audit opinion. So I think I presented in January that the audit report has a different format and look to it this year. The audit standards did change in 2018. So you'll notice it's expanded upon what you would have seen in the past. The opinion paragraph is the first paragraph, and there's some more clarity around the auditor's responsibilities around the audit. That said, there's nothing, this is still a absolutely clean audit opinion with nothing else added to it other than the basic requirement for an audit report. Finally, we're required to communicate to you that M&P is independent and free of conflict of interest in regards to the audit. So there's no areas of concern, and we will issue a final independence communication in our final package that says that fact in writing. That's the report. Happy to take any questions if anyone has any.
Does anyone have any questions? Nope. Nor do I. Could I have someone bring forward the motion, please? Councillor Van Elfen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That the 2018 audited financial statements for the District of Summerland be approved.
Thank you. And seconded, that's not...
That's the right-
Oh, sorry. No, this is for 11.1.
11.1, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
That the Corporation of the District of Summerland audit finding report for the year ending December 31st, 2018, presented by MNP LLP, be received for information.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Patton. Any discussion of council? Okay, all those in favor? And none opposed, so that's carried. So now on to, thank you, sir. I forgot to thank you before you sat down. I appreciate your presentation. On to 11.2, 2018 financial statements.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So prior to releasing the report from MNP, Canadian auditing standards require that those with recognized authority take responsibility for the financial statements. Therefore, the resolution before council this evening is that council approve the 2018 audited financial statements. The statements themselves reflect a continued improvement in the district's financial position. This statement is supported by using some common financial measurement indicators and applying to them to the district's financial statements. The district's net debt, which measures a municipality's ability to cover its financial liabilities with its financial assets, has decreased by $3.7 million compared to last year. Additionally, our reserves have increased $1.9 million up to $20.7 million. The increase itself is predominantly due to the district just not spending some budgeted funds that we had anticipated to spend, but again, an increase in reserves. And finally, our debt levels have also decreased $2.2 million over since 2017. So our outstanding balance at the end of 2018 is $17.5 million. So all of those are positive financial indicators, and staff recommend that the 2018 audited financial statements be approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any, Councillor Barkwell?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Boot. I didn't, maybe I missed something there, but the first number you gave about the debt reduction, like 3.7 million? What was, you gave like two?
So the 3.7 million decrease is the net debt number.
Yeah.
On the balance sheet.
Uh-huh.
So it basically takes into account assets minus liabilities.
Okay.
And it comes out down to that number.
And then the third number was the overall debt.
The overall debt, correct,
Okay.
yes.
Any other questions of staff? Okay, could I ask someone to bring forward this motion, please? Councillor Patton?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If I may, that the 2018 audited financial statements for the District of Summerland be approved.
Seconded by Councillor Van Elfen. Any further discussion on this? All right, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And none opposed, so that's carried. On to 11.3, environmentally sensitive, thank you, Director of Finance. Environmentally sensitive development permit 5609 Pine Avenue. Over to the Manager of Planning.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This development permit, or this property is within an environmentally sensitive development permit area, and as such requires a development permit for the proposed construction. The property is approximately 2.68 acres in size. It's in the sort of south end of Summerland, just north of what do we call that creek? Trout Creek. Thank you. The applicant wishes to build a secondary suite onto their existing single-family dwelling. Now, we have a number of exemptions within our development permit area, one of which is for the construction of single-family dwellings, providing that the footprint of the dwelling doesn't exceed 250 square meters. The applicant proposes to construct the secondary suite to the north of the existing house, and the total footprint of both buildings on site comes to 270 square meters, and as such requires this development permit. Required to make this development permit is to hire an environmental professional. The environmental professional has worked with the applicant, and the applicant is proposing to construct the secondary suite within the sort of least impact area on the entire parcel. And the recommendation and support from the qualified environmental professional is to support the application as presented. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, staff, of staff? All right, could I have someone bring forward the motion, please? Councillor Carlson.
I'll move that environmentally sensitive development permit DP 19-003 for residential construction for property located at 5609 Pine Avenue, legally described as Lot F, District Lot 488 ODYD, Plan 15848, except Plan 34905, be approved.
Seconder, Councillor Traynor. Discussion on this item? I guess not, so I'll call the question then. All those in favor? And none opposed, so that is carried. Item 11.4, Ice and Talk Dam Outlet Pipe Replacement Contract Award for Design, CAO.
This is a purchasing policy item, but because it's to do with Ice and Talk Dam Outlet, I'll turn it over to Mr. Johnson and Mr. Van der Meulen to speak to it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report outlines an RFP process that we went through to award the design for the Eisentalk Dam Outlet Pipe Replacement Project. 3 proposals were received. The recommended award is to KWL in the amount of $123,467. As noted in the in our purchasing policy, any items over $100,000 for RFPs need to come to council for approval. If there are any questions with regards to the proposal process or the project, Devin and I are here to answer.
And we should note, in one place in the purchasing policy, over $100,000 needs to come to council. In another place in the purchasing policy, it doesn't need to come to council. So we brought it forward, and we will be bringing that policy forward to get that corrected.
Thank you. Questions of staff. Councillor Barkle.
Did we speak one time about the possibility of raising Eisentalk? And would this design take that possibility into account?
That's correct. Part of the design process will be to evaluate 3 options in a preliminary design stage and bring those options to council for discussion and direction before we move to the detailed design stage.
So the options will be about raising the dam, not just the design of the outlet?
Correct. One of the options is to, so it's either to reconstruct as is, to raise the dam and provide additional storage, or to reconstruct to the existing elevation but design the dam and build it in a way that future heightening of the dam could be completed without any changes to the foundation.
Great. Do you have a question?
That was going to be my the same question, so thank you. I guess I do have one. So we're talking about doing some important work on Ice and Talk, and I know that the district has a whole bunch of dams and we have to do maintenance on all of them. I'm wondering if there's a way that council can get some sort of understanding of, I know we haven't been on a tour, but to have a summary of our dams, or to get some basic understanding of what our future is going to look like. It's probably in our asset management, but we haven't seen that, and I just wonder as we move forward with all of this talk on climate change and water management and all of that, if there's something that has been thought of to that regard yet. Maybe
Yeah, so I
that's
guess,
I don't know.
Madam Mayor, the Water Master Plan will speak to that to a certain degree. We will also be hiring a consultant this summer to provide what they call a consequence classification review of the remainder of our dams that haven't had one recently, which is the majority of them. So, that information can come to council at some point this year.
But would it be wise, Devin, to even do an introduction? We often talk about the water system, but we don't, we could do at a committee in the whole meeting, just an overview of the dam system, so that when that information, when the more detailed analysis comes, they would have had sort of an introduction to what our system looks like. Did that maybe?
Yeah, I think I ask because I know that with the dam safety regulations, it's very strict, and the province does certain things and the district does certain things, and there's a lot of money involved in making sure that we keep following these rules, and I think we should be very aware of what might be coming our way, and I don't know if we currently have, as council, I know I haven't given it much thought. I'm sure that the folks who work with the dams every day are aware of it, and I just wonder if maybe I should read the Water Master Plan more closely.
Yeah, but that would be an easy thing to bring forward, and probably timely, as we will be talking this year about the potential to decommission Eneas and Sioux as well. And so some of the master plan discussion about volumes of water in those reservoirs compared to our total storage will come into discussion. We can throw you all in a van and take you for a drive through our watershed.
We still have to do that facility tour as well, so we'll get that scheduled on an
Thank you.
upcoming, Cal.
Thank you. Councillor Holmes.
Thank you. Just to follow up on that, I think the public would be really interested in learning more about our watershed as well as council, and looking at what we're doing or what we can do or what we should lobby the government to do, or whatever the case may be, to protect our watershed from any potential risks, whether that's erosion and forest fires, logging, recreational use, mine, all these sort of things, and really allow people to have a really good understanding of our watershed. I think it's really, there's some concern out there that we need to ensure our watershed's protected, and I think some public engagement would be useful that way. I know we keep piling things on top of you.
And I agree, and we have been involved in a number of events recently with the Range and Ranchers Association, with the Water Supply Association of BC, and it is becoming a topic, discussed in more detail.
Perhaps, I understand you have a water committee meeting coming up tomorrow?
We do tomorrow.
So maybe just having an initial discussion with them on what a public presentation might look like might be a good idea. It doesn't have to be in the next 3 weeks or something, but to begin a discussion.
Councillor Barkwell?
Just to follow up on the design of Eisentalk, I was wondering, for Public Works, what do we know about the capacity of that watershed to support a larger dam? It seems like it would have, it's quite limited really, isn't it, before it starts flowing towards Princeton or something?
Yeah, so that reservoir particularly is known to be sure to fill. It has a fairly significant drainage area. Some of those numbers, like we mentioned, will come forward through the Water Master Plan. and would be part of the process of detailed design, just to ensure that, you know, what we build to, assuming we did, you know, would actually be filled at some time.
Okay, good.
Okay, someone please remind me, is this on the floor? Yes, thank you. So we're ready for the vote then?
Wait, no, it's not.
It's not on the floor yet. Okay, thank you. That's okay. I didn't know either. Could I ask someone to bring this forward then? Councillor Barkwell?
I'll move the motion as written in the agenda.
That the contract be awarded?
11.4.
Thank you. And that staff be directed to finalize and execute the contract. Seconded by Councillor Traynor. Any further discussion on this? Councillor Holm? No. Okay, all in favor? Excellent, and I don't see any opposed, so that's good. Okay, now we're on to 12.1, correspondence and information items. Is there anything in there that anybody would like to bring forward? And correspondence? Nope, so could I ask somebody to bring forward the motion, please? Oh, Councillor Barkwell.
One question, I guess, it's kind of an obvious question, maybe even a rhetorical question, but something that should be pointed out. There's a $11 million building permit here. Can I assume that that's Wharton Avenue, or?
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks.
It's not your garage. Okay, so could I have someone bring forward the motion, please? 12.1. Councillor Holmes.
I'll move that the correspondence and information items dated April 8th be received for information.
Seconded by Councillor Traynor. All those in favor? All right, that's approved. And then 12.2 is committee and commission minutes. Again, is there, Councillor Carlson.
Before it goes anywhere, I just want to make a comment. So I did attend this meeting. Unfortunately, I was late. I'm a little bit concerned about some of the conversation that seems to be coming up again in the Climate Action Committee. And there's a note, the bullet point in the minutes reads, recognize that there needs to be discussion and consideration of trade-offs in allowing development immediately north of the town centre on ALR, possibly with protection for other lands less suited to walkable development. And I'd like to make a comment that perhaps can be...
Sorry, Councillor Carlson, could you give us the number?
It's under 4.1. If you go down to the...
Yes, I see it now, thank you.
The beginning of the third page.
Thank you.
So I just would like a note made somewhere, I don't know how that can be done, that when I did attend that meeting, I suggested that it was inappropriate to be having a conversation like that, and that we've had that conversation and we won't be putting trade-offs between ALR land and building on it in part of our climate action plan, because that is not going to happen. So it's unfortunate that there's members of the Climate Action Committee that have brought this up again and seem to think that it's going to be a valuable conversation to have, because I'm not sure that we really need to go through that again.
Councillor Barkwell.
Yes, I was at the Climate Action Committee meeting prior to this one, where they talked about wanting to bring that up, and I have to agree with Councillor Carlson that this isn't the place to be having that discussion or debate. There's more than enough things for the Climate Action Committee to be dealing with, and that's another discussion, if we're going to have it at all, for another time and another place. And so I don't know, as Councillor Carlson says, how you address that. Maybe we have, and that's sufficient.
I hope so, but...
So could I ask a question of our CAO then, about, these are minutes of a meeting that has taken place in the past. We've heard concern from two councillors on that one bulleted item. So where do we go from here?
Well, I actually have issues with the minutes. I mean, the minutes are supposed to be following our standard minute taking where only resolutions are recorded. I haven't really paid enough attention that they were becoming notes like this. So usually when we take meeting notes, they don't come as part of council's adopted package. So I think we can make a note in our minutes where they're accepted, that this conversation happened with council, so that they're that, and I will have a conversation with the committee chair to make sure that we limit the amount of just discussion, because the problem with including discussion points, somebody says something and then it doesn't capture what the will of the committee necessarily was. It doesn't necessarily mean anything at all, so I'll have that conversation.
Thank you. Councillor Blackwell.
Yeah, I really appreciate what the CEO says, but I think that these minutes go a little bit beyond, but also I do appreciate when we get minutes, and particularly of the Advisory Planning Commission, it's something that sort of gives us a sense of what they were thinking and what their concerns were, and so there is a balance. I think minutes that are simply motion passed and motion defeated isn't that informative for us either. So is there a middle road there somewhere?
I believe it's our procedures bylaw, though, that states that there's no discussion in the minutes, so it would have to, I mean, that we do allow, there are times that, even in our own minutes, there are times preceding a resolution or a recommendation, or that a quick, like a one-line note or something, but to try to capture debate or points of view isn't good. So yeah, I think there is a little bit, and I think all of us will have a conversation to make sure that see if there's anything that needs to come forward as recommended changes to the procedures bylaw.
Councillor Carlson and then Councillor Holmes.
I've just reread some of this, and I wasn't late for this meeting because one of the first things was that I noted that council supports Waco communities but not at the expense of agricultural land, and so I'd like to suggest that the person that was taking the minutes or the notes for this meeting perhaps misinterpreted what was being said, and that bullet wasn't actually accurate, because I don't remember it coming up as we need to have a discussion and consideration of trade-offs. So I don't know if it was just a misinterpretation of who was taking notes, but I think it had been made quite clear that conversation wasn't going to be happening.
But I think if I read this correctly, it was actually Corinne that was there at the time, according to this. Did we want Corinne to speak to it, maybe?
Thank you. If I might just comment, I agree that my memory is similar to Councillor Carlson's. I think that it was brought up, it was discussed. I certainly didn't make any representation as to an intent to do so. So it was a discussion, but it is all in how perhaps it has been phrased.
I think it's just been misinterpreted in the notes that were taken, and that could be a problem.
So we can either make a note, or council, you haven't passed it yet, right?
No.
So you can choose not to pass it now, and I can bring it back to, just refer it back to staff, the minutes. I can have a conversation with the chair, and we can bring a version that more accurately reflects the meeting.
I would support moving this back to staff. If you need a motion or not, I don't know.
I would suggest doing a motion to refer.
I'd like to refer the committee minutes included in the report April 8th, 2019, back to staff for further clarification and revision.
Seconded by Councillor Holmes. Oh, I'm sorry, Councillor Holmes, you had your hand up before that.
I'll second it.
Okay. Would you like to, yes, please.
Yeah. So I think minutes can be written in such a way that you can say what was discussed without going into he said, she said sort of thing. You can just say lunch was discussed. You don't have to say so and so preferred ham sandwiches and so preferred egg sandwiches, right? I think it's really useful for us to know what was discussed, even if no resolution came out of it. At least we know that topic was discussed. We don't have to know what everybody's thoughts were.
Okay, so we have a seconded motion on the floor then. Is there any further discussion on the new motion? Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. On to item 13, which are councillor reports. I'm going to begin today with Councillor Barkwell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There's no activities or events I attended to speak to that haven't already been addressed by yourself. So that's my report.
Thank you. Councillor Carlson?
I don't have anything to report tonight.
Thank you. Councillor Traynor?
I attended some of the events that Mayor Boot already mentioned. And then the only other thing is on Saturday, we had our 13th Trout Creek Community Cleanup. And I participated in it along with about 20 of my neighbors, and we picked up lots of garbage. And some of the odd things that we picked up was part of a couch, 2 laundry baskets, mismatched shoes, clothes, a needle, which is not very good, and some baking supplies, a baking pan. So it was interesting, and it's a good community builder.
Did you trash tag it? You heard about trash tag? No? Oh, it's like this viral thing on the internet. People are going around and collecting garbage and taking photos, and yeah, it's kind of cool. You should look it up. And then add a hashtag to your post.
Okay.
Trash tag.
Hashtag trash tag.
That's exactly right. Thank you. Councillor Patton?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. KVR AGM is this Saturday at the train station. Other than that, I have nothing new to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Van Elfen?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Not much to report, just that we have a water committee meeting tomorrow night at 6 o'clock here in this room. It will be exciting. So I'm just letting the public know that if they want to come and watch something that's just riveting, we'll be here.
Thank you. And last but not least, Councillor Holmes.
Yeah, just a couple things. Well, first, I'd like to say, as the liaison to the Chamber of Commerce, to congratulate the Chamber for an amazing award ceremony that they put on, and to congratulate all the award winners of that evening. I thought everyone was very well deserved. And then there was RDOS meeting last Thursday, and one interesting thing that came out of that is that we set the bus fare for the new Route 70 from Penticton to Kelowna. We set it at $5. It'll be a flat fare to $5, and I think that's great news for Summerland because it basically also not only does it provide us a service to Kelowna, it provides us one extra bus to Penticton for only $1 more than what the current Penticton Summerland route is. So we've kind of get double bonus there, I think. So that was one thing, and the other thing that we learned is that the mosquito control program is really ahead of schedule this year because of the conditions and everything. So they're getting. I think they're starting on it. Do you remember, Councillor Traynor?
I think they've already started.
They've already started. They've already started Dale Meadows, which is where most of our mosquitoes come from. So we should have, knock on wood, a lot less mosquitoes this year. So.
Okay. Thank you. On to 14, an opportunity for the public and media to please come forward.
You all know me, Mary Ann McDonald, 6505 McDonald Place. The very first thing I'm going to say is, as far as the budget presentation, I really found it awesome, and it was Mr. Deniger and myself that had the conversation on renaming the meeting, and we both discussed something along the line, Summerland's vision for 2019, or Summerland's vision for 2020 next year, or something like that, that would at least encompass the hard work that goes into the presentation by the different departments, because it's more than just presenting figures as far as I'm concerned. It's letting everybody know what each of the departments is doing. The second one that I have on my agenda was, I kind of agree with Councillor Barkwell. I was a little unhappy with about $15,000 for a study for a dog park. I believe there would be better use of that money for a yard waste pickup. Third one is the watershed. We've had lots of discussion on that, and Councillor Holmes brought it up that there needs to be more public awareness. I was thinking that maybe in your monthly newsletter that there could be something put in there 2 or 3 times a year, just to get people sort of interested in it as well. And the last thing I have on my list is, I have heard, and it's probably just a rumor, that the new road maintenance company is wanting to set up their new yard near our water treatment plant. And I'm not sure that there's any validation in that, but it's something to think about. That's it.
Thank you.
You dealt with that issue already?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's still being looked at or not.
They're still looking. They're still looking. Okay, I don't see any other public, so on to the honored media. Do you have any questions of us? All right, that would be fine. John? Nothing at all. Excellent. So could I have somebody make the motion to adjourn this meeting? Councillor Van Elfen and Carlson, all those in favor?
It's much too early.
Excellent.